don't know actually how much filming I'm going to get done today. We're finally on the day of me going to the hospital. But I've got my blanket wrapped around me. I've had the heating on all night and I'm still cold, so I've wrapped my blanket around me. I have a stonking headache. It's my sinuses acting up again, so it gives me pain. Particularly this side of my face here is really hurting, so all this side of my head is in a lot of pain at the moment. I would normally get up and eat something, so there's something in my belly, and take cocodamol. But first problem with that is I can't eat this morning because I'm not allowed to eat so long before my procedure. So I can't eat anything. And if I haven't got anything in my belly, I take cocodamol, I will just vomit it all back up, so there's no point. Secondly, I don't want to take cocodamol because I'm having Entonox later, and I don't want there to end up being any kind of complications. Don't know if it would, don't know if it would interact, but not taking that chance. Not taking the chance that I'm going to turn up to the hospital and say I've had to take cocodamol this morning, and them saying, well, you can't have it done, we need to do all this messing about another time, and then I have to do another 4 days isolation. So I'm not doing it. So I'm in a lot of pain. I'm really tired, ridiculously tired. I got to sleep at about 1. This morning the cat decided to wake me up about 3 or 4 times because he wanted to get under the duvet for a cuddle. So he's been fed his breakfast. It is 8:20 now. Don't have that much to do. I am absolutely starving, and the problem with being tired is that it takes more energy for me to do things, which usually means that I would eat more. So without any food in my system, it means my headache is hurting more than it would. It means I'm hungrier than I usually am, and it's just not a good start to the day. I'll explain this stuff now in case I don't get to film any of it. Bit of a content warning, this might be a little bit too much information. I'm going to be talking about toilet stuff, essentially. So what is wrong with me that they believe is ulcerative colitis? For anybody that's not heard of it, it's a little bit like Crohn's, if you've heard of that, but doesn't affect as much of the colon. It usually affects one small area, so there's about 3 different types, and they think that I've got the left-sided type because that's where I get the pain. So the procedure I'm having done is called a flexible sigmoidoscopy, and not quite as invasive as a full endoscopy or colonoscopy, but it is still a camera up my rear passage. Procedure apparently only takes about 5 minutes, so all this messing about has been for a 5-minute camera at my backside. There is, however, obviously the area that they're looking at needs to be clear, so there are different kinds of pre-procedure preparations. The typical one is a drink that you take the night before, and it makes you go to the toilet, flushes all your system out, and you could be on the toilet sometimes for hours. The one they've decided to get me is an at-home enema. If you don't know what an enema is, Google it. I'm not going to go through it explained, but I have to do that an hour before I leave the house for my appointment. I'm leaving at 10:30, so I have to do it at 9:30. So it gives me until 9:30 to get everything done that I need to get done, because once I've done that, for that hour I have to basically stay in the bathroom, which is why I said I'm going to use that time to download podcasts. So when you go to hospital as a neurotypical person, I'm going to assume that you just get your things together and go to the hospital, and there's not really a lot of thought or anxiety around it apart from typical anxiety of whatever you may be getting done. But for me, for an outpatient appointment that I'm having today, there is a lot of little things that I need to think about as an autistic person and as a person with unmedicated ADHD. So one of the things, I was just thinking about it while I was actually doing my hair, is I need my hair to be in a style that I am able to do with obviously my fine motor skills problems. It has to be not too tight, not too loose so that it starts falling out while I'm at the hospital, and something that means it's not going to get in my face. So that's just one of the small extra things that I have to think about. I have ADHD. I've heard this myth, I don't know if it's true, that people without ADHD can just sit and relax and not do anything. That for me is impossible. Absolutely impossible. So I have to make sure that I have lots of things to do while I'm at the hospital. I'll be downloading podcasts so I've got something to listen to. I'm doing my colouring game so that I've got things to colour. I am taking a book so I have an option to read. I am taking paper and pen so that I have an option to write if I want to write, or if there's anything I do need to write down, because I forget everything that I am told. They're the extra things that I have to think about. And then with the autism side of things, I have to think about all the sensory stuff. Packing my sunglasses in case it is too bright for me. Obviously having my headphones to listen to my podcast so that I can drown out noise around me. I am taking my Beauty and the Beast blanket as a comfort thing, but also because I'm going to be hanging around with no trousers on, my legs possibly are going to get cold, because a little bit of cold and I go freezing, because my body doesn't regulate temperature very well. So I have to take that to wrap around my legs, put over my legs. All of these are extra little things that I now need to carry. So it has to be in something that is going to be comfortable to carry to the hospital and back. I have to mention as well that my cat is absolutely loving me being hanging around in the bathroom for an hour, because he's usually not allowed in here, and he's currently in the bath and he's been chasing his tail in there. For some reason he loves being in that bath, so I'm having to put up with him as well. Got my little heater on so I'm warm, and just in case I have to dash to the loo, I need to kind of hang around near the bathroom. So I'm trying to do what I can. So I've sorted my hair out, I'm going to brush my teeth, I've got some water in here that I've been sipping at because that's all I'm allowed to do. I'm absolutely starving, I have zero energy, I just want to lay down and go to sleep. I can't lay down because of my sinuses playing up, because laying down adds extra pressure onto it and then it hurts more. So I'm just trying to get through as best as I can, and then as soon as it is 10:30 I need to get going. I've just got back from the hospital. I'm not in a good mood. It's taken me a few minutes to even get round to filming this. Now I couldn't film while I was at the hospital because everything was kind of like go 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 and there was people around me. I went in and I was a little bit early so I had to wait. I was called in. I had my temperature checked because of obviously COVID and whatnot, then went through to where there's like some changing rooms, was given a gown and given these weird short things that you have to put on that has like an opening at the back. Those shorts were an absolute sensory nightmare. They were horrible material. It was like a nylon-y material and very scratchy. So when I put them on, it took me a lot longer to get changed than it normally would have. I put them on and I just had to kind of stand there and not move because the feeling of them on me was horrendous. I felt like when I took them off there would just be cuts all over me because that's what it felt like every time I moved. So you had to put those on, basically took everything off apart from my bra, and then put my dressing gown on over that and have to put like your slippers on, and there's a little waiting area. More sensory freaking nightmare. I'm trying really hard not to swear because I just want every other word at the moment to be a swear word. So it's ridiculously bright. I had my sunglasses on and it was still too bright, and then there's two little waiting rooms with two chairs in, and there's a TV in each one playing the same thing. It is on way too loud and the sound of it was really tinny. It wasn't a very good quality screen as well, so I already had a headache obviously because of my sinus issues and not being able to take painkillers, so that was horrendous. Luckily I was only there for a few minutes. I was already starting to stim quite badly, and then I was took into the room for the procedure. Had to lie on my side, was given gas and air. It hurt a bit at first, the actual procedure, but then they just kept saying to me, you know how to do the gas and air. You've got to take long, deep thingies, which I find it hard to take long, deep breaths. Gas and air finally hit me, and whoa, away with the fairies I was. It was good because it took away the feeling of what was going on, so all it felt like was a little tugging and pulling. And because they kind of blow gas into your insides, well, air into your insides to inflate them, it felt like a ridiculously bad stomach cramp, really painful. That gas and air I was chugging that stuff down. The bed that you're on, you stay on there, they put a blanket over you and they wheel you into recovery. And you're in recovery for about half an hour. By this point I was just really starting to shut down. And this is why I wanted a liaison nurse, because I was really shutting down and my head was killing me. It was too bright, there was too much noise, but my bag was underneath my bed with my iPad in, so I couldn't turn anything on to listen to block out the noise. And that would have been like the better of a bad situation, because even with that my head was still killing and I was prepared to be in a dark, quiet room by this point. So I was really starting to shut down, so I just kind of laid there for half an hour, just getting more overwhelmed. Then after half an hour somebody comes to check on you, asks you if you want a hot drink and a biscuit. So I had a cup of tea, which was horrible. Asked for 2 sugars, don't think there was any sugars in it, it was disgusting. Ate one of the biscuits out that was in the packet, and by this point I'd completely gone mute, couldn't really talk, and they were like, you know, once you're done with your drink and that, just shout us over and then you can get dressed. Couldn't shout anybody over, couldn't answer anything. So when the nurse came over and they have to ask you your name and your date of birth, because obviously they have to see that you're, you know, fully with it, I really had to push out my name and date of birth. Couldn't really say anything after that, just was a lot of nods. Got dressed, thank God, out of the sensory nightmare shorts. Had to go into discharge, which is only, you've got to sit there and wait. The nurse calls you through and tells you about your results. So I get called through, and this is where I'm going to start getting probably quite annoyed, quite frustrated. They didn't find anything. So I've just been through having to have a COVID swab and nearly vomiting, 4 days of mental hell of isolation that's really taken a toll on me, and then going through sensory hell at the hospital and that procedure. There is nothing. So now I feel like I'm back to square one. Nobody has given me any advice or anything on how I am meant to deal with the pain and the discomfort every single time I eat. So yet again, I've just been left to suffer and struggle, and it's very, very frustrating. So I have to wait for the gastroenterologist to contact me and see where we go from here. No idea what's going to happen now. This is going to be the last of the vlogs, because now hospital is over. Back to the normal weekly Wednesday vlogs, and I will hopefully be able to update you in one of those as soon as possible when I've heard from the gastroenterologist and see what happens. But that's it from me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.